In a cozy little forest, full of tall trees and babbling streams, lived two best friends. Rabbit, quick, careful, and someone who loved things just so. And Bear, big, warm, and always bursting with excitement. Every single day, they did everything together. But today was going to be a little different. That morning, Rabbit had a big idea. He decided to build the tallest carrot tower the forest had ever seen. Since sunrise, he worked carefully, slowly, placing each piece perfectly. When he finally stepped back, the tower stood tall and beautiful. Then, a sound began to grow louder. Thump, 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 coming closer and closer. Bear came bounding through the garden, full of excitement about something wonderful he had seen. And in all that excitement, his big paw accidentally clipped the tower. Carrots flew everywhere. Everything went silent. Rabbit looked at the scattered carrots. The tower he had spent all morning building was gone. His chest tightened with frustration and disappointment. Bear immediately realized what had happened and felt sorry, ready to help fix everything. But Rabbit's frustration spilled out, and his words came out sharper than he meant. The moment those words landed, something changed. Bear grew quiet. The excitement faded from his face. His ears dropped. He stood still for a moment, then slowly turned and walked away. Not angry, not shouting, just quiet. And somehow, that silence felt heavier than anything else. Rabbit stood alone in the garden. The bright morning didn't feel so bright anymore. The rest of the day moved slowly for both of them. Rabbit told himself he was right. Bear had broken the tower, so Bear should apologize first. And Bear told himself the same. He had already said sorry. Rabbit had been too harsh, so Rabbit should apologize first. So neither of them did anything. At lunchtime, Rabbit sat at their favorite log. He took a bite of carrot, then noticed the empty space beside him. The food didn't taste the same anymore. By the river, Bear watched something funny happen, something he would normally share right away. But there was no one beside him. The moment passed, quietly. That afternoon, Bear found a smooth, shiny stone, the kind Rabbit would love. His first instinct was to share it. But then he remembered. He held on to it instead and continued walking, alone. Back in the garden, Rabbit tried rebuilding the tower, but it didn't feel the same. He placed a few carrots, then stopped. Some things just don't feel right when there's no one to share them with. A little later, a friend passed by and gently asked where Bear was. Rabbit admitted they had a fight. And with a few simple questions, something became clear. The mistake hadn't been intentional, but the words spoken after had been. Rabbit sat quietly, thinking about that. As night fell, the forest grew still. Rabbit lay awake in his burrow, unable to sleep. Bear sat quietly in his cave, turning the small stone in his paw. Rabbit thought about what he had said. Those words hadn't been true. There wasn't someone who ruined things. There was someone who always showed up, always cared, always shared. And suddenly, Rabbit felt very, very small. Early the next morning, before the forest fully woke, Rabbit made a decision. He gathered a small basket and walked to Bear's home. There was a soft knock at the door. When it opened, both of them stood still for a moment. Then, with honesty and courage, Rabbit admitted his mistake. Not just the action, but the words, the ones that mattered most. Bear listened, and in that moment, everything softened. They stepped forward and held each other in a warm, quiet hug. The kind that says more than words ever could. Bear also acknowledged his part, promising to be more careful. Then he shared the small stone he had found the day before. Rabbit held it up as the early light touched it, and it began to glow. Simple but beautiful, made even more special because it was meant to be shared. Suddenly, Bear remembered something: the rainbow waterfall. They ran together through the forest, side by side once again. And there it was, water falling gently over mossy rocks, with a soft rainbow shining through the mist. Calm, magical, and full of light. They stood quietly, taking it all in together. Because some moments are only truly meaningful when they are shared. And sometimes, even the best friendships have difficult moments. But what matters is not the fight. It is the courage to come back, to say sorry, and to choose each other again. Because real friendship isn't about being perfect. It's about choosing each other again and again and again.